Welcome to unit number 6, page 57. Exercise number 2, grammar. What's advisable, what's necessary, and what's preferable. In this chart, we are going to talk about 3 different ways how we can give an advice, a necessity, or preference. Number 1, what's advisable. These different forms had better, not, ought to, might want to, they have a similar meaning like should. This is used to give an advice. For example, you'd better do something quick. This you'd is the contraction of apostrophe D equals had. You'd better not add anything to my schedule. I ought to do some volunteer work. You ought to let them to the talking. You might want to take a colleague with you. These different forms are used to give an advice. Look carefully when you have you'd better not, ought to, or might want to, you have to use the next verb in the base form. We have the second case. It's about necessity. What's necessary? When we talk about a necessity, we are going to use these different ways. Be going to, have get to, don't have to. Look, in the same way, you have to, you need just a verb in the base form. I'm going to have to do something about it. I've got to decide by next week. You don't have to spend time on this. And finally, when we talk about the preference, what is preferable? You are going to use I'd rather. This I'd or this apostrophe D equals would. I'd rather stay in my current job, or negative, I'd rather not stay in my current job. Look, we don't have to. We have immediately the verb. I'd rather stay, I'd rather not stay. Now, we are going to use these different forms in order to complete this exercise. Fill in the blanks. Look carefully. You are going to have some minutes in order to complete. Check if the sentences are talking about an advice, a necessity, or a preference. You have some minutes to do it. After you have completed, we are going to check the answers. Okay, we don't have over here a page with the answers, but I am going to tell you some of the answers that you are going to have in this page. Okay, listen carefully. We have a test tomorrow, so I ought to study tonight, but I rather go out. You know, I think you'd better study because you have a test. This is some of the ideas that I present to you in order to complete this. This is to complete a conversation with problems and solutions. They are not the only answers and solutions. You can think of different solutions for these different problems, okay? Now, we are going to go to the next exercise. It says 3, speaking naturally, reduction of verbs. Usually in English, we have some problems because we want that each word people pronounce. But many times, the words, especially the red ones that you have over here, they make a reduction. For example, you have want to, but usually people pronounce wanna. You're better, you better. Going to have, gonna have to. Ought to, ought to. You've got to, got. Please, you are going to listen carefully the next audio in order you check the correct pronunciation. Okay, listen the audio.
Page 57. 3. Speaking naturally. Reduction of verbs. A. Listen and repeat the sentences above. Notice the reduction of the verbs. In what situation might a person give this advice? Can you think of other advice?
You might want to try a new instructor.
You better study the driver's manual.
You're gonna have to practice more.
You ought to take more lessons.
You gotta pay attention.
Okay, you have this audio in order you practice your pronunciation. Now, let's move on to the next exercise. Number 4, talk about it. What's your advice? This exercise, you will have to read this situation, and then you are going to give an advice. Try to do this exercise with a friend, with a classmate, with a colleague, in order you practice your pronunciation. Thank you very much. This is the end of page 57. Remember, you have the Spanish version in order to reinforce the learning.